Hey everyone, this is Austin Scher here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with Andrew Gharib of Desert Stranger. He has just released a fantastic new track with a bunch more on the way. I'm super excited to talk to him all about it. Andrew, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Austin.
You're very welcome. What's news? Where are you in the world right now?
I'm in Ottawa, Canada. Ottawa is the
Nice.
capital of Canada. It's about a couple hours west of Montreal for people who don't know where it is geographically. Um, so yeah, I've lived here pretty much my whole life. I was in Toronto for a little while, but yeah, set my base here for now.
Nice. What's going on in the local music scene these days?
Actually,
How immersed in it would you say you are?
how what am I?
How immersed in the local music scene would you say you are?
I took a break for a while, following my previous band's breakup a few years
Okay.
ago. And then I couldn't really stay away. Like I just started writing, just, just random stuff all the time, just writing. And I'm like, okay, there's obviously songs happening here. I should pursue this.
Right.
So I did. And I hooked up with my previous producer, a local guy here named Steve Foley, and I said, look, I've got these songs. Um, let's figure this out, you know. So I connected with a buddy who's a local drummer, and we just started bouncing back ideas. And he would record his parts at home, send them back. What do you think?
Sure.
Until the song was done. And a buddy of his was a bass player too, and so they just kind of helped me put the music together. So they did the drums and bass, and I did all the guitars and all the vocals in studio. So yeah, I definitely kept a lot of connections in the music industry, and
Yeah,
now that the music is coming, like I'm starting to make more connections, which is really cool. So
exactly. I mean, that's kind of the hardest part of a solo project is no one person can be amazing at everything. Like you can be a multi-instrumentalist, you can be proficient in most instruments, but it's also fun at the same time to bring others in and experience making music together. Like there's almost nothing more beautiful in the world than making something out of nothing.
absolutely, absolutely.
Totally. And so the last single that you put out was Maybe I'm Blind, which I love. And I probably listened to it 10 times already. But you
Oh,
also
thank you.
mentioned, yeah, you're welcome. But you also mentioned before we started recording that there's more on the way. So, first thing I really want to know is like, are we going to experience like a sonic difference between these two? Or is it all, do you think that you found your sound basically?
There's definitely a sonic difference. Like maybe I'm Blind has a very poppy, I almost dare to say like country tinge to it,
Yeah.
uh, that I wasn't really like intending to do, but it just came out that way, and I really like it. Most of my experience and my comfort zone is with like straight ahead rock alternative. So the next single, which is called Divide, is more on the rock side for
Got
sure.
it. Got it. I also have to say the production is very nice, and I would recommend anyone who's going to listen to like put on a nice pair of headphones, or don't just like play this on your phone speaker because there's a lot going on that you really just want to focus on. Do you keep the production in house, or do you also have outside people helping you out with that?
It's really just me and Steve. He's is a person who really understands the style of music I'm going for, but he also understands how to get a really good performance out of me and get my
Totally.
best foot forward, and that can be really challenging. So
Yeah.
once we get through it, it works out great. And to your point, like I'm somebody who really likes to put in a lot of ear candy. A lot of the music I love listening to, if I go back and listen to it, I hear something a little different each time,
Yeah.
and that kind of keeps me coming back for more. And it's just fun, just putting those sorts of like little harmonic notes or little
Mhm.
effects that most people may not notice, So I guess I do it for me, but sometimes
No.
people do pick up on it,
I was
and
gonna say, don't sell yourself short. I mean, and don't give credit to. I know what you're saying because it feels like nowadays in music, it's all about like what lame production gimmick or like novelty effect can I put in order to like grab people's attention. But at the same time, like I wouldn't quite call your music minimalistic, but there's not so much going on that it's pulling your direction back and forth. So it is the little things like that that keep you hooked, but in a much smaller scale, which is nice, I think.
right, yeah, exactly.
That's nice. So obviously this is leading to something bigger, like a record. And I want to know this is, there's no real right answer here, but if you had to give the sort of elevator pitch on what it's all about and like what inspired it, what would you say?
For Maybe I'm Blind or the whole record?
Maybe the whole record. Like, was it a series of small, life experiences, or is there some overarching message?
Yeah, I mean, Maybe I'm Blind is probably the first like straight up breakup song I've ever written.
Sure.
And there's some sprinkles of that along the way in the record, but I also like to talk about um, I guess kind of current events and current issues, whether they be the sociological issues or cultural issues.
Yeah.
I tend not to lean a certain way. I just kind of like to like I try to do my version of projecting what's happening.
Totally.
Like the song Divide is going to be, I mean, it's really just about division, which is a really generic concept. But you can kind of distill that idea from like what's going on in culture pretty well. And my intention was not to be like, hey, this is what's happening. Here's what I think. Here's what I think you should think.
I understand.
But it's just to say like, okay, this is happening. Here you go. Like, what do you want to do with it? You know what I mean? So
totally. But I also think like nowadays there's never been more focus on division in any sense of anything. Doesn't need to just be politics, for example. Like people are divided on everything. And it's your job as an artist to give your take, and people will take it and they'll either listen to you and agree, or they'll have dissenting opinions, and it will divide the listeners. So
exactly. Yeah.
Kind of do that in the process. So that's that song, but we're going to hear like different takes on the other songs, I suppose.
Yeah. The other songs, I mean, I do that, and some of it is like about. So I released 3 singles last year in 2021. The first one was called Interstellar, and that one was kind of like just about my experience as a musician and going from like a band situation to a solo project situation, and trying to understand and navigate like the differences in what really led to that, and kind of like evoked a bit of a rebirth artistically, I guess you could say. Sure. Because I really had to change styles quite a bit. Like the last band I was in was a very, very hard rock band, and which I really liked.
Well, this is way different.
This is way different. Yeah. And I just really wanted to make sure like I spoke with my voice as much as possible.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, yeah, like the name is Desert Stranger, but ultimately it's you steering the ship. Is that correct? Like you're the one
that's
with
a
the
great
final
way
say on everything. I wasn't planning on asking, but now I kind of want to know what was the inspiration behind the name.
I mean, it's really my roots. So my parents are Lebanese immigrants, and I guess the word desert kind of came from that sort of Arabic kind of background. But actually, I don't think I've told many people this, but my last name Gharib directly translates to the word stranger. And there's actually like there's a story behind that actually.
Yeah,
and,
that's cool.
My dad, my parents grew up in a little tiny village in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. And apparently, and I mean, with these kinds of stories, there's like little bits of BS kind of sprinkled in, but apparently
I get the same thing from my parents.
Apparently they used to call strangers, like new people who came into town, because this is a small town. They used to give them the name Gharib, like a nickname.
Okay.
And then over the years, the name stuck. And that's the genesis of our last name, our family name. So I was like, that's kind of a cool story, you know?
That's kind of a cool story. Yeah, that's a nice little homage in the name. I like that. Honestly, would have never known otherwise. Now, on the actual like music making and creation part, is it solely you that is starting these new songs, like in the process of like, hey, I'm going to make new music, or you know, is that also a collaboration?
It's really just me. I mean, I started, you know, music very young as a piano player, and then I picked up the guitar. So I'm really primarily a musician before I am a singer. So what I do is like I'll just riff. Like I pick up my guitar every morning, you know, and I play for a good half hour, an hour. And sometimes, you know, just stuff just comes out, and then I'll just kind of develop that from there. And like this actually just happened the other day. Like this is kind of, it's just kind of insane how much music I'm writing. So like this record, which is coming out in the fall, that's finished, that's done. I have another record like already 50% finished. And then the other day I just wrote a new song. I was like, this is cool. I sent it to Mike, my drummer, and he's like, here you go. And like, it's a song already pretty much. Like it's like 60% a song. So a lot of it, yeah, like I'd say it's just guitar riffs that come up, and then just ideas that like I started to angle it from like, I want an upbeat song, I want a fun song, I want a dancey song, I want a slow ballad. Like I just get on the style. And then once I use that as a starting point, it seems to come pretty easily.
But see, that's how it is as an artist. You can't turn your brain off. And it's also not always going to be that cohesive, like, oh, this song goes in this album. But that's like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't come in a linear fashion. It's like, yeah, well, I'll put that on that project, and that goes there and that goes there. But then, you know, it tides you over for the future, and then you don't have to wait, you know, years between records. You're just like kind of starting new things.
Yeah, which is exciting. That's exciting for me, because that's a new thing. I used to always have to wait. And, you know, when you're in a band, it's like you send your stuff, and sometimes they'll get to it, sometimes they won't. Sometimes it'll take, oh, we'll do it next rehearsal, or we'll do it, you know, but for this situation, I'm in complete control. So that's a nice change.
It's awesome. Now, considering like you're sort of in a unique situation where you played in bands and now you're doing the solo thing, is there something that you look forward to the most when starting out on a new song, or just like something that you look forward to in general about the entirety of like making music?
I mean, you know, the making of the music for me is fun. And I'm a bit selfish here. I love hearing the final product the most. That's the most satisfying thing for me. I guess, no, I lost my train of thought there.
It's okay. Again, there's no right answer. It could be
help me out again. What was
it could be like from the initial, like, oh, I got an idea, all the way to clicking the submit button and feeling the relief of being finished with it. So anything between that is just like, yeah, that's why I spend all this time and effort and money making music.
I guess it's in the studio. In the studio, when you start to hear it come together, and you record it, but you have somebody who's talented enough to put it together in a way that really engages the listener, and that really mixes the instruments well. I'm lucky. I have really, really talented people working with me. You know, from the musicians to the producer. I have a mixing engineer. I have a mastering engineer. So like all these guys are they're full of talent, these people. So they're just taking what I do and make it better. And that's definitely the most satisfying part about it. You know, in studio, like it gets tedious, you know, it's like, okay, do another take, tune your guitar. And it's like, it's not the most fun thing, but when it starts to come together and it comes out of those speakers, there's nothing better.
In the studio, I imagine it to be very romanticized, because we all see how it's depicted in the movies and TV shows, and it's rocking and partying and drugs and alcohol, and you're like, damn it, I just want to nail this one take so we can get the hell out of here. Like
That's
studio
exactly
time is
right.
expensive.
Yep.
So yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like the magic of movies. You know, I'm a big movie fan, but like I've done some music videos, and
Yeah.
it's like more. It's definitely more work than fun. Let's just
Yeah.
say that.
We're gonna need to do that take 62 more times. Like, I
Yeah,
just want to go home. I'm
yeah,
hungry.
yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly.
Seriously. I've got a couple more questions for you.
Yeah.
I wanna know, are you playing shows? Are you going to be playing shows under your solo name?
Well, I found. I mean, yeah. Short answer, yes. I played my first show back at the end of June. I found a couple of local kind of session players that play the show with me, and they've been great. So I do plan on releasing. So I've got the single on Friday. I've got an album later in the fall, which I'm going to announce like in the next couple of days. So yeah, the plan is definitely to do at least an album release party here locally. You know, touring, I don't know what's going to happen with touring. I would like to.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get people's schedules on the same wavelength. So I maybe like little short bursts here and there, like weekends, little out of towners that you
Yeah.
know are like the Toronto run, like the 40. I don't know where you're from, but out here they call it the 401 run, the Highway 401. It just goes to
Oh, okay.
like the Toronto. The greater Toronto area. So there's a lot of different like little cities to play in,
Sure.
as well as Ottawa here. So yeah, I'd like to for sure. It's going to take some doing.
Cool. Well, something to look forward to, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So my last question for you is basically for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that is going to listen to your music for the first time, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
I've never been asked a question like that. That's very interesting. I guess just have fun. I mean, just enjoy it for what it is. Um, it's very unadulterated. Um, it's me just with my heart on my sleeve, just going out, and if you like it, great. If you hate it, well, that's life.
I think that's about as straightforward as it needs to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Andrew, I want to thank you so much again for taking the time. And I also want to plug your music for you one more time. We're going to have links in the article so that people can listen and share and follow along. By the time that this comes out, Divide will be out, so listen to it. But yeah, it sounds like there's a lot more on the way. So I'm looking forward to hearing it once it's out and about.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thanks.
Awesome, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to speak soon.
Okay, you too.
Sweet. See you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.